can't remember anything.
Miss, maybe if you could go maybe like 500 times slower, maybe I'd understand a word.
500, I like that, 500 times slower. Yes, so it is the same thing when it comes to paragraphing. If you just put a huge block of text there without properly, without putting commas, without putting colons where they need to be, or semicolons or full stop, that is what your writing sounds like. So it may not look as bad, but that's what it sounds like. And that means communication is not happening. Remember, the purpose of language is to communicate. So if I'm not understanding what you are saying, effective communication is not happening. And so when we are writing, we want our reader to leave understanding what we are trying to communicate, getting the message. And that is why paragraphing is important. In handwritten text, a new paragraph is usually signaled by the writer starting a new line about an inch from the margin. In typed text, a writer sometimes leave a line out, or what we call a space, right? Each paragraph, this is the important thing that we need to remember. So you can write this down if you think that you're going to forget. Each paragraph marks a new stage or idea in the writing. So that means if you are talking about West Indies cricket, and West Indies cricket being the greatest thing since sliced bread, the greatest game on the planet, but then 2 lines after, 2 sentences after, you're going to tell me that China and Russia are in talks with each other about oil, then I'm going to be confused, because they don't relate to each other, those 2 things. But if you tell me that, if you go through an entire paragraph saying, you know, cricket is one of the greatest games, as a matter of fact, cricket, then in a new paragraph, you're telling me cricket was discovered in China. And then you say, currently, China is known for its talks with Russia concerning oil, That's entirely different. That is given scope and purpose to your writing. That is going beyond, you know, that's deep stuff. That's good stuff, right? So because you're able to link different ideas, but you're keeping the flow, you're keeping the symbiosis, you're keeping the relationship of all the different ideas together, right? So the first sentence of a paragraph is sometimes called a topic sentence. And as I told you before, a topic sentence is kind of like a thesis statement. It often gives you a clue as to what the paragraph is going to be about. So again, if I start out my paragraph by telling you that cricket is the greatest game to have ever existed in the history of mankind, then I need to continue on that trajectory, right? I need to tell you why I consider, it may not be factual, it could be an opinion piece, it could be it's my opinion, but I have to expound on my opinion. I have to tell you why I think it is the greatest game since the beginning of time. I can tell you about the persons that play cricket, or the persons that like cricket, that contribute to it being the greatest game. I can tell you about the history of great cricketers and what they've contributed to society. You know, that could be an entire paragraph in and of itself. So read A Star is Born. We're not going to read that. As I said, this is just like a crash course. Well, let me see, is this page 29 or this is page 28? So we would have to go to page 29 to read that either way. But here is something that we can look at. So typically a paragraph should have 5 sentences. So 2 sentences, 3 sentences, not good enough, not good enough. Try to make your paragraph. So for example, for your letter, you could have about 3 to 4 paragraphs, but your 3 to 4 your 3 to 4 paragraphs in your letter should have at least 5 sentences. So in sentence 1, You're going to, let's look at this example, statement about Rihanna's childhood. There was nothing too unusual about Rihanna's childhood. She was born as Robin Rihanna Fenty on the 20th of February, 1988, in the parish of St. Michael, Barbados. Her father, Ronald, was Bajan, and her mother, Monica, was Guyanese. They split when Rihanna was 14. At the time, she was attending the Combermere High School in Waterford, St. Michael. She always enjoyed singing to friends and family, and it was at about this time that she formed a musical group with a couple of her classmates. So statement one, sentence one, statement about Rihanna's childhood. This is a topic statement or the topic sentence. Sentence two, information about her birth. Sentence three, information about her parents. This is all related to her childhood because her birth is related to her childhood and information about her parents is related to her childhood. Information about the school that she attended and other information surrounding her childhood. She was still a child when her parents split up, right? She was 14. Information about her interest in music at this time. She was still a child when she was interested in music. So even though they express kind of, different, very varied ideas, they're still connected because they're connected by that one sentence, statement one. Statement about Rihanna's childhood. There was nothing too unusual. I mean, if we look at our lives today, many people, their parents go through breakups. We may be products of that. We may be a child, we may have been singing since childhood, or we may have been playing an instrument or painting or doing performing arts since we were, like little tots. So that's nothing unusual. She was born at this particular time in this particular place. Other people were born there. It's not like a Hollywood kind of place where that if you're born there, then your parents have to be rich and successful. Yeah, you're regular like everybody else, right? So again, notice that the topic sentence, that is the first sentence in your paragraph, should talk about or should give the view of what is to come. It is the golden thread that links and ties all your other sentences together. So it's like this. Each topic sentence, and this is why you have to plan what it is that you're writing, right? Each topic sentence should be related to your thesis statement. So if you're writing your thesis statement doesn't necessarily have to be the first thing that you write. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. You can write your general idea. What do I want to communicate to my audience? Okay, Pablo, I met this guy in Mexico. We haven't met for a while. He wants to come to Jamaica. I'm supposed to tell him about the culture and the food and the people and places he can go, da, 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 da. Okay, so you can say, all right, for paragraph one, of course, I'm going to, talk with Pablo and say, hey man, we haven't seen each other for a long time. How are you doing? This is what I've been up to since I've left Mexico. What have you been up to since I've left Mexico? Or I've heard of your interest in, coming to Jamaica. I'm so happy we'll get to see each other again, da, 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 that kind of thing. That's what you can talk about in the first paragraph. Paragraph number two, you're going to talk about the history and the culture of Jamaica. So tell him about Jamaica. Jamaica is a country in the Greater Antilles. It is home to approximately 3 million people. It is square miles, 10,000 whatever square miles. It has 14 parishes. These are general things about Jamaica. You're talking about Jamaica, right? So you can talk about the parishes. You can talk about the beaches. You can talk about the population, what the demographics look like, all of that kind of stuff. Then you can talk about, if you may include a bit of the culture there, in the second paragraph, or you may not. You may want to delve a little bit more into the history and culture of the people. So I've told you about the geology or the geography of the place. Now let me tell you about the people. Okay, Jamaicans are typically very happy-go-lucky people. We love foreigners, and we're very warm and welcoming. We like to share what we have with other people. You know, those are 3 points already. 3 points that you can write in your thing, in your paragraph. Then you can talk about the food, because remember, this is something that was asked of you. So because the people are so warm and loving and and so fun going, or food is like that too. We have jerk chicken, and you can talk about how jerk chicken is made. You can talk about ackee and saltfish and how ackee and saltfish is made, or what it tastes like, or what it makes you feel like, or how he will feel when he tastes it, and how it is generally made in this area or that area, or what you can have with it, just food in general. You can talk about spicy food in one sentence. You can talk about the sweets. You can talk about sweets in one sentence. You can talk about cooking method in one sentence. You can talk about what to pair or what not to eat in another sentence. And before you know it, your entire paragraph about Jamaican food, is completed. Then, of course, you can close with some of the places that he would want to visit and where he can get some of the food that you just spoke about. So you can say, okay, at the border of St. Elizabeth, there's excavation bami. So we talk about this. Now I can tell you where you can find it, not just say, okay, excavation bami to this. You can connect the dots. So you talk about this particular thing here, you can connect it with a different idea down here, right? So that's a general overview of how paragraphing works. Remember, you start out with a topic sentence. Your topic sentence highlights most of what you are going to, all of what you are going to be talking about, or the main theme that the rest of your paragraph is going to be talking about. It doesn't have to have all the details, but it certainly needs to have the main theme or the main idea. All right. Yes. Let us see. I think I missed something up here that I wanted to show you. Oh, any questions on paragraphing?
No, miss, no questions.
Okay, so that means I should not be seeing any problems for the next thing that I tell you to write, because there are no questions. All right, so we're going to look briefly as well on punctuation. Now, as I said earlier, if you just read da 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 da, we do not use punctuation when we speak, so why do we need to use punctuation when we write? Read the extract below and work da 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 da. If I don't slow down, if I do not take pause, I'm not truly communicating, because no comprehension is happening. I'm not pausing. I'm not understanding what I'm reading to you, and you're not understanding what I'm reading. It's the same thing when it comes to writing, right? So yeah, look at that. Let me see who I will ask to read this for me. Nicholas.
Yes, yes.
Hi. Okay, could you read on the screen for me the jumbledness, this jumbled blot right there? Read it for me, please, and read it just as it is.
Read that? That kind of looks hard.
Listen, it doesn't matter if it's hard, okay? You see a challenge, you go for the challenge. And that's the kind of people we're developing in here. So come on, Nicholas, use your muscles. Well, you don't have muscles in your voice, but let's go for the challenge.
The sun sets slowly.
Don't try to comprehend it. Read it.
Okay.
Read it just as it is, just as you see it, just as I am. Read it just as it is.
The sunset, the, the, the sun sets slowly over the distant deep blue ocean. The sunset over the sun sets slowly over the stand.
Matthew,
Yes, miss.
hi. Read what is on the screen that is highlighted in the blue for me, please.
The sun sets slowly over the distance. Deep. Wait, what the?
Read it just as it is, Matthew. Don't think about it. No hesitation, no
Okay.
concentration.
Distant deep blue ocean. Oceans. Oceans. I don't know what that is. Wait. Oh, Hontal. What? Watched it fully before slowly rising
Okay,
from.
Amelia. Amelia, read what is on the screen for me, please. No hesitation, no concentration. Go ahead. Amelia, unmute. I'm not hearing you.
I thought I was unmuted. Sorry.
No hesitation, no concentration.
Wala na. Wala na. Miss.
You're hesitating and you're concentrating just to read.
Yeah, like the laptop is in my chest and I'm trying to read it properly.
All right, you're out of the game, Amelia.
No,
Rihanna,
hold on, man. No, man, miss. That not count. Miss, I didn't even try. That doesn't count.
all right, you have 2 minutes. No
Sunset,
hesitation, no concentration. Go ahead. Amelia, yeah, hesitate. You're out of the
I
game.
do.
O-U-T out. O-U-T out. Rihanna,
Yeah.
no hesitation, no concentration. Go ahead.
Okay. The sun sets slowly over the distant deep blue ocean. Skuntal watch edit wistfully before slowly rising from her chair on the veranda and moving inside. She was struck immediately by the cool of the air.
No hesitation,
Air
concentration. Out. Jose. Oh, Jose gone? Oh, Jose is there. Okay. Go ahead. You have, let's go, Jose. Let's go.
The sun sets slowly over the distant deep blue ocean.
Get it wrong.
Concept.
O-U-T out. Kai,
Yes, miss.
go ahead. Angel, if you're back, turn on your camera, please.
Okay. The sun sets slowly over the distance, deep blue ocean. The scontal watch.
O-U-T out.
Okay.
O-U-T Angel, did you go already?
Miss, it wasn't my turn and I almost had a stroke trying to read that, miss. I don't think I can.
Okay, all right, guys. So this very simple demonstration is to show you that if you're speaking and you do not have pauses, if you do not have inflections, if you do not have, well, mostly pauses, because that's what punctuations are. That's what they facilitate, pauses. Pausing and speaking, silence and speaking, they're very important. So the sunset, I saw some of you when you were reading, you were actually putting in pauses that were not there. So you would read, the sun sets slowly over the distant blue deep oceans. Contel watched edit wistfully before slowly rising from her chair on the veranda and moving inside. She was struck immediately by the cool of the air conditioning system, breathed new life into her. That I'm running out of breath trying to read that because we don't speak like that. Therefore, we do not write like that. So if you submit something to me like this with just, or if you have, for example, a comma after each of these words, it would sound something like this. The sun sets slowly over the distant, deep blue ocean. Shan't, whatever. We don't speak like that either. So knowing where to put a comma, which is a pause, knowing where to put a semicolon, which is also a pause, knowing where to put a colon, listing things, knowing where to put a full stop, knowing where to put a question mark. It alters how your writing flows. It alters how your writing sounds. Are we understanding? Any questions or comments?
No.
Okay. So pauses separate words and sentences. And also another important function of punctuation, as I just said, it gives emphasis to questions and exclamations. So if I should ask, if I should say, how was your day today? No, that sounds like a question. For example, no. All right, maybe I should use a different sentence. That's gonna sound a bit different. Let me see if I can find something here. All right, let's use this sentence. You are now going to revise and practice how to punctuate sentences using. I want you to say that like you're asking a question. Who wants to go first?
Can you repeat, please?
Yes, so this statement right here, you are going to revise and practice how to punctuate sentences using. I want you to say that as if you're asking a question. No one? Do you want me to pick on somebody?
Say what, like asking a sentence, a question.
Asking a question. The statement, you are now going to revise and practice how to punctuate sentences using. Say that to make it sound as if you're asking a question.
But which one, Miss? Do you mean the sunset slowly over that one, Miss?
No, the thing that I just read to you, the statement that I just read, you
The
are
first
now.
one?
Okay, let me see if I can highlight it. It's not highlighting in my with my thing, but it's right at, let me put it right up. Oops. So it is right here. You are now going to revise and practice, or is anybody seeing that sentence?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so that particular sentence, I want you to say it or to speak it, sound the letters like you are asking a question.
Okay, miss, I'll go.
Thank you, Rihanna.
You are now going to revise and practice how to communicate sentences using.
Very well done. I should have presents for you guys. Don't worry, I'll have presents to encourage you to labor one of these days. All right, very good, Rihanna. Now notice how she ended her sentence. Usually when you're asking a question, you tend to go up a little bit. Your what do you call that again? It's not exactly pitch. Your inflection, you inflect upwards when you're asking a question. Usually when you're making a statement, it is downwards, right? So you are now going to revise and practice how to punctuate sentences using. That sounds like a question, right? Now I want someone to use that very same statement and convert it to a sentence that will end in an exclamation mark. So make it sound as if it's something that you're excited about, because that's usually what an exclamation mark communicates.
I'll try, miss.
Go ahead.
Okay. You are now going to revise and practice how to punctuate a sentence using
Very good.
Can anyone hear me? Okay, guys, so sorry about that. For some reason, my internet went out just now. Not exactly sure why, but we are back, right? So I was saying it is not just what you say, it is how you say it, and how you say things makes a difference
in what is communicated, and we ought to pay attention to that. And I was going to give you the example of, there's a verse in the Bible where it says, and I say unto you today that you will be with me in paradise. The comma, there's a comma that is placed after, which one is it? I say unto you today. Okay, I think the comma is placed after I say unto you instead of today. And so there are two different schools of interpretation that have arisen based on that simple placement or misplacement of a comma, where you have some persons believing that the thief on the cross is in heaven right now, and some persons believing that it should be, I say unto you today, comma, you will be with me in paradise, meaning there is some future time, future event. So just giving you that example that where you place your punctuation marks is important, because it could mean two very, very, very different things. So now we're going to practice how to punctuate sentences using capital letters. Again, this is something that you really need to pay attention to, because I see this mistake in some of y'all's writings. Full stops, question marks, exclamation marks, and semicolons. So first we're going to talk about capital letters. So where do capital letters go? At the start of each sentence. So the, capital T, lady stopped and put her bag down. She, capital S, looked around her with a puzzled expression. This town has changed so much. For the personal pronoun, I know one particular person who should pay very, very keen attention to this one. So for the personal pronoun I, it is not the I with a little dot on the top. You need the straight one, the capital one, okay? Okay. For the first letter of proper nouns, so this was one that I saw. If you were talking about a hotel, or you're talking about an amusement park or someplace else that is a proper noun, you need to capitalize, okay? So people's names, places names, names of days and months. On Tuesday, Clarence will see Karen, and he'll ask her if she's coming to the dance in June. For the first letter of titles of people and organizations, they asked the principal, Mr. Jameson, to attend the meeting of the Voluntary Association Committee. I hope you're taking notes, guys. I mean, this is in the Google Classroom. You can access it at any time, but I hope you will take notes. So pay attention.
Miss,
yes?
sorry, Miss. You're freezing up for me, but I was gonna ask, all of this is going to be posted in the classroom, right?
Yeah, this is already posted. This is like the textbook. All you have to do is go back to page 20 in the textbook.
Oh, okay, Miss. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure what the issue is, or if anyone else is having that problem. Am I freezing for anyone else? Hello?
No, miss.
Okay, Mia, maybe it's something with your internet. I'm not sure, darling. But it's right there. You can just go back to page 20 for the in the textbook. I think it's one of the first things that I posted. So you have to go down a little bit in Google Classroom, but it's there. All right. Why do so many people have their cameras off? Hola. Guys, every class I have to come and ask you to keep your cameras on. Please. All right, so we also capitalize at the beginning of a new piece of direct speech or direct speech. Angrily, he replied, they didn't tell us where they were going. For the main words in titles of books, so plays, games, films, etc. His favorite book is The K, and his favorite film is The Lord of the Rings. So I know that this is a lot to take in for just one punctuation mark, or one form of writing, one element of writing for capital letters, but it is important because this could save you from having marks deducted for grammar and punctuation. So you want to pay keen attention to them. As I said, it is page 20. You can just write down page 20. So after class, you can go back and look at it. I will also be uploading other notes to make it more succinct and easier for you. Okay? All right. Full stops. What is the purpose of a full stop, or a period as we call it? And it's not the period that you hear often in social media. But yes, go ahead. What is the purpose of a full stop? I should not be showing you guys here. But anyways, yes, you can tell me in your own words.
Miss, I was gonna say to end the sentence,
Yeah,
but I
I'll-
just read an X there.
To end the sentence. Rihanna, I didn't hear that very well. Could you repeat for me?
Oh, Miss, my first thought was to end the sentence, but I saw that it was already on the screen.
To end the sentence. Okay, who else was going to speak? Was it Mia?
I was literally gonna say the exact same thing.
Oh,
To
okay.
a sentence.
Okay, all right. So it is not just the sentence, but a complete thought. Because remember, that's what a sentence should be. It expresses a complete thought. The alley was dark and narrow and full of shadows. The alley was dark and narrow and full of shadows. The children crept nervously through it. If you do not use full stops to punctuate your sentences correctly, readers will find it very difficult to follow what you have written, and speakers, as we have demonstrated in this class today, it will be virtually impossible to be able to separate ideas and to be able to coherently understand what is being communicated. So therefore, we need to remember to end our complete thoughts with a period or a full stop. Okay? All right. Question marks. We have demonstrated this as well today. The question mark is used to mark the end of a question. That's a very straightforward definition, right? You can remember that. The question mark is used to end the mark of a question. Very, very simple. For example, how old are you? Who is that girl sitting at the back? And the question ends the question. The exclamation mark is used to show expression, and it is a command and an imperative. It also marks the end of a sentence. Get out now. I'm sorry, my theatrical skills are very bad, but anyways. Exclamation mark may also be used at the end of an interjection. Oh no, oh my, how sad. Well, if something is sad, then I would not necessarily say it that way. But how great, wonderful, stupendous, absolutely amazing. Those are all examples of, well, interjections and expressions. Who can give me an example of a command or an imperative using an exclamation mark?
Get out.
Get out is right there. You cannot use that one. You have to think about something else.
Miss, I never saw it. I wasn't looking at the screen.
Okay, give me something else.
Leave the room now.
Hey, if you told me to leave the room like that, Rihanna, I'm going to think you are joking. Okay. Come on, you have to make it sound like a command or an imperative.
Okay, leave the room now.
Beautiful. That is more like it. Anyone else? anyone else? Or should I pick
Wait, Miss, what are we supposed to be saying?
an exclamation mark? You know, now I want you to give a command, and you're going to have to make it sound commanding, authoritative.
Put that down.
No, sir, that's done like say I tell a little puppy if come down, and the puppy wouldn't even listen to you. So try again. Zuri, go ahead.
Okay, Miss, hold on. Sit down. Sit down right now. I won't tell you one last time. Sit down.
Very good, very good, very good. Okay, all right. So now that was a command, an imperative. It has to be, it says commanding and authoritative. Now I want you to use the exclamation mark, for example, something that you're excited about, or at the end of an interjection, as is exemplified here. Oh no. So give me an example of a use of the exclamation mark, how you would say a sentence or craft a sentence that would convey either excitement or, you know, surprise.
I won.
Is so that's one if you win something? Ariana?
Miss, I'm trying. Okay. Is it my internet or can you guys hear me?
Oh, I can't hear anything.
I can hear you.
I can
Oh,
also.
okay.
And I'm not exactly sure why my internet keeps checking out today. It's a bit overcast here in Manville today. Perhaps that is why. But we move. So we have, what's this? 7 minutes left for class today. I'm going to try to complete this. Hopefully, my internet will stay by the end of class. The electricity doesn't even go. So again, I'm really not sure what is happening. Let me just share my screen with you. And then you're going to have an assignment. I will upload your assignment after class, peradventure. The internet goes again. So quickly, let me just look at, so we've dealt with the purposes of a period or a full stop, exclamation marks, question marks. Now we're going to look at semicolons. Semicolon can be a semicolon or the semicolon can be used to take the place of a full stop between sentences that are closely linked in meaning. For example, the first book was more interesting with tales of mystery and adventure. We learned about different clauses. So this does sound like a clause or two clauses. Well, yes, two clauses that can stand on their own. However, there's additional information. The second one was just plain boring. They're related, could stand, or one or both could stand on its own or their own, but we want to link both of them. So that's the time that we use a semicolon. Here's the example again. The first book was more interesting with tales of mystery and adventure. The second was just plain boring. A semicolon may also be used to separate items in a list when the items are too long to be separated by commas. For example, the class raised the grand total. So this would have been useful for some of you who were listing the different, or when it came to listing the different places that Pablo could visit here in Jamaica. The class raised the grand total by staging a wide range of events, a sponsored run through the center of town, daily cake stalls throughout November, a book sale in the church hall, and, to their teachers' great delight, a sponsored silence. The use of the semicolon is often very subtle, so look out for it in your general reading and make a note of how different writers use it. Commas and brackets. So again, to note, the semicolon and the colon here in using it to, well, the colon is used to list items. The semicolon is used to separate items in a list. So just make that notation so you don't confuse both of them. Just a second, guys, excuse me, just. All right, excuse me, sorry about that, guys. So that's a semicolon. Commas and brackets. A comma is used to separate items, or commas are used to separate items on a list. So when you're writing, you don't want it to be jumbled like the example that we demonstrated today. We don't want it like that. We want our writing to be clear and concise and understandable by our readers. So when you're writing lists in a sentence, you need to separate the items with commas. The final comma before the and is usually left out. For example, if you ever explore this area, you find you can go swimming in the warm ocean, play football on the green, visit a range of exciting shops, and eat the most delicious foods. Any questions regarding that? There are some instances where writers utilize the comma before the and, but it is general practice or perhaps best practice to leave it off. Okay? Of note as well, when it comes to a rule like that, you may have been taught, well, let me not go into that yet. It's okay. Let me not go into that one yet. Commas to mark off extra information. When you give extra information about something or somebody, use commas to separate it from the main sentence. For example, Alf Johnson, comma, 32, claimed he had bought the car the day before. Mr. Johnson, comma, a father of 4, was unable to show a receipt, and Judge Benjamin Carr, comma, a most respected member of the Court of Justice, comma, found him guilty of theft. So when our comma is used to mark off extra information to separate lists, to separate items on a list. Commas are also used to separate different parts of a sentence. Commas help the reader to make sense of what you have written. They mark a pause in the same way as we would pause when we're speaking. Say the following sentence aloud. Well, we've gone through many examples of that, so we don't need to go back through that, but just for one, although the bus was late, he still got to school on time. To make the sentence, to make clear sense of the sentence, you need to pause after late. That is where you place your comma. So this is a general rule of thumb. If you're having difficulty identifying where you need to place your commas in your writing, a general rule of thumb is where it is that you would pause in speaking. So although the bus was late, he still got to school on time. The best ways, again, to learn how to use commas well are to take notice of how other writers use them. Read your writing aloud to help you work out where you need to place the commas. This is not going to be possible all the time, especially in an exam, but it helps to reread your work and to read your work out loud. So that is where we're gonna end today because, well, no, let me just quickly go through apostrophes and inverted commas. Apostrophe has 2 uses: to show where one or more letters have been missed out, so that's by omission, or to show that something belongs to someone or something. So omission and possession, those are 2 words to remember when apostrophes comes to mind. So instead of saying I am, we often use a shortened form of I'm, missing out the letter A. The apostrophe is used in writing to show that a letter or letters have been missed out. So where, they've, isn't, can't. The apostrophe is placed in the exact spot where the missing letter or letters would have appeared. We rarely say the house of my friend when we're speaking. So we would say my friend's house, my father's car, my mother's house. This is using apostrophe for omission. A word or a phrase has been omitted, and instead we use apostrophe. For example, in singular and plural, in different instances. When it is singular, when the possessor is singular, as in the case of Paul, the apostrophe is placed after the word and then S is added. This is the general rule. So my name doesn't end with an S. Matthews, notice, Matthews, the word Matthew doesn't end with an S. So I would have to add an S, add an apostrophe and add an S in order to convey to my reader that there is an omission there. When the possessor is plural and already ends in an S, we just add an apostrophe. For example, the school of the girls school. Plural, not ending in S. When the possessor is plural but does not end in S, we add an apostrophe and an S. So men is plural, women is plural, but they do not end in S. So we put an apostrophe and S when it is plural, not ending in S, we put an apostrophe when it is plural and ends in an S, and we put an apostrophe and S when it is singular. So 2 times we add apostrophe and S's. When it is singular and when it is singular, and when it is plural and doesn't end with an S. When it is plural and ends with an S, we only put an apostrophe. And the final thing that we're going to talk about, well, I'm way over time, but inverted commas, you have already revised. So apostrophe, what's this? The second main use for inverted commas is when a writer is quoting from another text. So you want to, you're writing an essay and you want to quote Albert Einstein, or you're writing an essay and you want to quote Bob Marley. Are you writing a letter and you want to quote something that you heard on the television or on the radio or someplace? Then you use inverted commas. The recipe, well, you have inverted commas and quotation marks, but we'll start next class with that. Well, no, that's where we're ending this one. Don't worry about it. I'll give you notes on that one so that we can start our new topic come next class. And we've already gone through paragraphing, so that's it for today. You can look for an assignment. Don't worry, it's not going to be difficult. So thank you guys. Have a great rest of the afternoon. Remember to read. Read it maketh a man and a woman. And the more you read, the better you will get at writing. So have a great day, guys.
Yes, Miss, same to you.
Bye, Miss. Thank you for your class.
You're welcome.